Now, as we've discussed, Indigenous people have usually been pushed out of the best farming land hundreds of years ago and the lands that cities are built on. So they often have their land rights in remote areas, but sometimes these remote areas become valuable. Here are some slides provided by my ANU colleague Brad Riley. This slide shows the areas with lots of solar energy resources, good places to build solar farms. And the black dots show indigenous communities, and you can see that if you want to build a giant solar farm, you're probably going to be near an indigenous community. It's going to be indigenous land if you want to get the best possible amount of sunlight. So there's mineral potential. And once again, you can see that a lot of the areas with the darker green, which is higher mineral potential, are on indigenous land. So this is where, if you want to do some mining, this is probably going to be on indigenous land. These are mining specifically for energy transition minerals, things needed, for example, lithium to build lithium-ion batteries or whatever else you might need to build solar cells or whatever. The blue circles are projects either in existence or projected to produce minerals suitable for energy transition. And again, the black dots are the indigenous communities, and you can see that if you're going to build large numbers of mines to build lithium-ion batteries or whatever it might be, you're going to be building them on indigenous land, most likely. So that's mining and solar power, but there are many other things. Nuclear weapons testing. Countries have nuclear weapons and they've tested them, and they often, as we will see, test them on indigenous lands. Or if they want to store the nuclear waste left over from the nuclear reactors, they will often try and put that on indigenous lands. Rockets are often launched from indigenous lands and sometimes collapse and explode on indigenous lands. And as we'll see in some detail, astronomy research often wants to use indigenous lands. And the track record of doing this is very, very bad. Often indigenous people are not consulted before their land is used. Great environmental damage can be done, like their whole sacred land can be dug up and turned into an open cast mine. Sometimes indigenous people are killed, either when they're protesting or in accidents or because of pollution. Often they feel totally helpless that some very powerful people from elsewhere have come in and taken their land and they can't do anything. I mean, given their history, they've got good reason to think that their concerns will be ignored. And often there can be no local benefit whatsoever. A couple of examples. Most lithium-ion batteries use the metal cobalt, the highest performance lithium-ion batteries. And this is mostly mined in the Congo, where it's causing enormous amounts of damage. Huge areas of rainforests have been stripped for mines, pollution from the mines are killing all the fish in the rivers, and often it's child labourers working under semi-slave conditions are actually mining this cobalt. So this is a prime example of how we don't want to power our... if you fight global warming, we're going to need lithium-ion batteries, but this is not the way we want to do it, really. In Australia, the Juukan Gorge, which is a 40,000-year-old Aboriginal indigenous cultural site with paintings, was destroyed by a mining company to make way for a new mine, or extension of an existing mine. It was all done legally, but it caused enormous bad publicity around the world and led to the sacking of the mine CEOs. Even if you work for a mining company and don't care at all about the rights of indigenous people, you probably do care about the publicity and losing your job in consequence of doing something like this.